so now he's in pitch black. He's in the will of God. He's in the purpose of God. He's en route to going to the place where God sent him. And all he's doing is feeling nauseous. It's dark. It's black. He doesn't even know which way is up, which way is north. God, where did you go? Has anyone asked in the last 2 years? Now, when the south wind blew gently, supposing they had obtained their purpose, they weighed anchor and sailed along creek close to the shore. But soon, a tempestuous wind called the northeaster struck down from the land, and when the ship was caught and could not face the wind, we gave way to it and we were driven along. We gave way to it. We couldn't contend this thing anymore. It just kept coming, and different variants kept coming, and we've just felt driven along, and it's been a big 2 years, and it's just driven along. They're just driven along. Goes on. Running under the lee of a small island called Cauda, we managed with difficulty, just in case you didn't get it, to secure the ship's boat. They're on track with purpose. They're on track with destiny. Paul is in the will of God, going to the place where God sent him. But in order to get to the place, to do what God had called him to do, he had difficulty, much more difficulty. He had danger, and there were times when he was just drifting along and just being pulled along by whatever was happening in circumstances, by whatever was happening in the world around him, whatever was happening by the winds around him. He just had to go with it. It was out of his control, but it was never out of God's control. So he says, we managed with difficulty to secure the ship's boat. After hoisting it up, they used supports to undergird the ship. Then, fearing that they would run aground on the Syrtis, they lowered the gear, and thus they were driven along. Since we were violently storm-tossed, now violently storm-tossed. I don't know if you've been on a boat and violently storm-tossed, but they're going swaying from side to side. There's nausea. People are probably throwing up overboard. I mean, what do you do when you feel like I'm on track with the purpose of God, but all I do is feel nauseous? All I do is feel like I'm being thrown from side to side. I don't know which way is up in this relationship, or in my finances, or in this job, or in this my purpose, or whatever it is that God has for me. All I feel like is I'm being thrown from side to side. I feel spiritually nauseous. It's terrible. In the midst of it all, it says we were violently storm-tossed, and they began the next day to jettison the cargo. Now remember, these are cargo ships. There wasn't like pleasure liner cruise ships during this time. This was their economic provision. And some of us in the last couple of years, it feels like, man, I've just had to throw everything overboard. Lord, what happened? I thought that business opportunity was going to be the thing that took me forward. I was supposed to get that promotion, and now I don't even have that job. Lord, this was going to be my income stream, and you just feel like everything's been thrown overboard. And Paul says we began to jettison all of our cargo. We were feeling nauseous. We were violently storm-tossed. He goes on, and on the third day, they threw the ship's tackle overboard with their own hands, when neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and no small tempest lay on us. All hope of us being saved was abandoned. When neither sun nor stars, it was pitch black. Imagine what it was like. You're being violently storm-tossed. You don't know which way is up. You can't see the sun. You can't see the stars. That might not be a big deal for us, but this is before there was GPSs. And so there is no GPS. The sun, the stars was their GPS system. So now he's in pitch black. He's in the will of God. He's in the purpose of God. He's en route to going to the place where God sent him. And all he's doing is feeling nauseous. It's dark. It's black. He doesn't even know which way is up, which way is north. God, where did you go? Has anyone asked in the last 2 years? Where did you go? It's like we've lost our compass. Lord, I was in your purpose. Lord, I thought I was on track. And God, it seems like I'm just being violently storm-tossed, and I'm at the mercy of whatever next rule comes out, and I don't even know what to plan, and it feels so dark. And Lord, I read your word and I can't even see which way is forward. Anyone been there? Paul goes on and says, since they'd been without food for a long time, Paul stood up among them and said, I've got to love Paul. Men, you should have listened to me. Said no woman to her husband ever, but anyway. Men, you should have listened to me and not have set sail from Crete and incurred this injury and loss. Yet now I urge you to take heart, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship. For this very night there stood before me an angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I worship. And he said, do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand before Caesar. And behold, God has granted you all those who sail with you. So take heart, men, for I have faith in God that it will be exactly as I have been told. But we must run aground on some island. I just want you to grab this, ladies. Paul stands up and he has a visitation from an angel of the Lord that says, you're going to be okay, so's everyone with you, but the ship must run aground. So this is how it works. You must stand before Caesar, Paul. You must fulfill your purpose. You must fulfill your destiny. You must fulfill the thing you were put on the earth to do. You must stand before Caesar. The ship must run aground. You must stand before Caesar. The ship must run aground. This sounds like an oxymoron. You must stand before Caesar, and the thing that is taking you to Caesar must run aground. Our natural mind goes, God, how must I fulfill my purpose? And the vehicle that you were using to take me to my purpose must be destroyed. You see, church, in the last little season, God's purpose for us has not changed. We must stand before Caesar, but we all have plenty of ships that must run aground. There were some ships in this last season that we put our faith in the ship rather than our God that was going to take us to our purpose. There were some ships that needed to run aground. There were some relationships. There were some friendships. Oh no, there were some ships. See, some of us had more faith in our ships than the God that was promised our purpose. And the only thing that in this season of unveiling and apocalypse in the true sense of the word, revelation, it has been an apocalypse, but it's been an unveiling of the idols that are in our hearts. Because many of us had faith in our ships more than in our God. And when the ships ran aground, we lost our faith in our God. And God says, you must stand before Caesar. My purpose hasn't changed. My plan hasn't changed. The vehicle I will use to get you to your purpose might have changed, but my purpose and my plan has not changed. And what has been unveiled in this season is that many of us have stopped believing God for much more because the ships ran aground. But God's much more hasn't changed. God's purpose hasn't changed. God's plan hasn't changed. God's ability to get provision to us hasn't changed. Nothing about God has changed. Scripture says Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. You know, I say to everyone these last couple of years, I've become like a Hallmark Christian. I used to like look at those Pinterest quotes and like roll my eyes, you know, Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever, but like whatever. And then, you know, Jesus is faithful, whatever. I'm like, nowadays, I'm like, oh, thank God Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Thank God, because everything else is changing. I wonder if you've had some ships run aground the last couple of years. Some things that we had put our trust in. Were we in the will of God? Yes. Was that the provision of God? Yes. Does the purpose of God change because the ship ran aground? No. No. What the last couple of years has given us the opportunity to do is to reset that compass on Jesus. It always was Jesus. It always will be Jesus. There's nothing else that got us to where we are. It's Jesus. There's no one else that can keep us where we are. It's Jesus. But here, it says the ship must run aground. When the 14th night had come, as we were being driven across the Adriatic Sea, driven across. Many of us right now in this season on the planet, we're being driven across. I was in and out of all those different countries in the last couple of weeks, and you know what? I'm at the mercy of whatever they tell me I have to do. Driven across, driven across. Did I get to do what God called me to do? Yes. Was it difficult? Yes. Was it uncomfortable? At times, yes. Did I still do what God said? Yes. That doesn't change. Just because our world has changed doesn't mean God's purpose has changed. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time a new video is posted. I hope you'll share your thoughts in the comments, and if you feel led, please share this video with a friend who needs to see it. Thanks so much for watching.